When I was 18 years old, my parents gave me $20, a trash bag full of clothes, and exactly 10 minutes to leave their house. 15 years later, they stood on my doorstep with nothing. No savings. No home. No one left to help them. And the most unbelievable part? The daughter they threw away was the only person who could save them. My name is Ava. I'm 33 years old, and this is the story of how the people who abandoned me ended up begging me for a second chance. Growing up, my older brother Ryan was the center of my parents' universe. Ryan could do no wrong. If he failed a test, it was because the teacher was unfair. If he got into trouble, someone else was responsible. If he needed money, my parents always found a way to help. Meanwhile, I was expected to handle everything myself. Good grades weren't enough. Being responsible wasn't enough. Nothing I did ever seemed to earn their approval. I spent years trying. Years believing that if I worked harder, studied more, and became successful enough, my parents would finally be proud of me. But some people only see what they want to see. And in our family, Ryan was the future. I was simply an afterthought. Everything fell apart during my final year of high school. I had earned a scholarship to study graphic design. It wasn't a full scholarship, but it covered enough that I could realistically afford college. I was excited,
Proud.
hopeful. My parents were furious. My father believed graphic design wasn't a real career. My mother insisted I should study business instead. For weeks they pressured me to change my mind. But for the first time in my life, I refused. I had spent years following everyone else's expectations. This was the one thing I wanted for myself. The argument reached its breaking point one Friday night. My father slammed his hand on the kitchen table. "You think you're smarter than us?" "No," I replied. "I just want to make my own choices." That answer made everything worse. He pulled a $20 bill from his wallet and threw it onto the table. "If you're so independent, start acting like it." I thought he was angry. I thought he'd calm down. Instead, he told me to pack my things. My mother stood silently beside him. She didn't stop him. She didn't defend me. She didn't even look at me. 2 hours later, I was standing outside with a suitcase and $20. Then the front door closed. And my childhood ended. The first year was brutal. I slept on friends' couches. Worked at a diner. Skipped meals when money got tight. There were nights I cried myself to sleep wondering if my parents ever thought about me. Wondering if they regretted what they had done. But they never called. Not on my birthday. Not at Christmas. Not when I graduated college. Nothing. It was like I had vanished from their lives. At first, that hurt more than anything. Eventually, something changed. I stopped waiting. I stopped hoping. And I started focusing on myself. I worked every job I could find. Waitress. Receptionist. Freelance designer. Anything that paid.
Every setback taught me something.
Every struggle made me stronger. Little by little, I built a life. Not because anyone helped me, because I had no choice. By 24, I had graduated. By 26, I was working for a marketing agency. By 28, I had been promoted twice. Life wasn't perfect, but it was finally stable. Then I took the biggest risk of my life. I started my own design business. Everyone told me not to. Friends warned me. Coworkers questioned my decision. Even I wasn't completely sure it would work. The first year was terrifying. Some months, I barely paid rent. Some clients disappeared without paying invoices. There were moments I seriously considered giving up. Then, everything changed. A major company hired my agency for a large campaign. That project led to another. Then another. Within 3 years, my business had grown beyond anything I imagined. I hired employees, opened an office, bought my own house. The girl who once had $20 to her name now owned a successful company. And through all of it, my parents remained silent. 15 years. Not a single phone call. One afternoon, I received a call from my Aunt Linda. We hadn't spoken in years. The moment I heard her voice, I knew something was wrong. "Ava," she said carefully, "your parents are in trouble." Apparently, Ryan had convinced them to invest most of their retirement savings into a business opportunity. He promised huge returns. Easy money. A guaranteed success. The business collapsed. Completely. They lost everything. Their savings. Their investments. Even their home. I listened quietly.
Part of me felt sorry for them.
Another part remembered standing in the rain at 18, holding $20, completely alone. When the call ended, I pushed the situation from my mind. After all, what did it have to do with me? Then, 3 months later, someone knocked on my door. I opened the door and froze. My parents stood on my porch. For a moment, nobody spoke. They looked older, smaller somehow. Life had clearly been hard on them. My mother's eyes filled with tears. My father couldn't even meet my gaze. The silence felt strange. 15 years. 15 years without a single conversation. And now they were standing in front of me. Finally, my father spoke. "We need help." That was it. No apology. No explanation. Just 4 words. "We need help." The irony almost made me laugh. The people who had thrown me out now needed someone to save them. And somehow, that someone was me. I invited them inside. Not because I had forgiven them. Because I wanted answers. We sat in my living room. My parents looked around at the house. The large windows. The modern furniture. The successful life they never believed I could build. Eventually, the full story emerged. Ryan had convinced them to invest everything. When the business failed, he disappeared. Stopped answering calls. Stopped visiting. Stopped helping. The golden child had abandoned them, just like they had abandoned me. The difference was that I had been 18. Ryan was 40. Then my mother started crying. Real crying. Not dramatic tears. Not manipulation. The kind that comes from regret. And for the first time in my life, I saw something I never expected.
Guilt.
A week later, my father asked if we could talk privately. We met at a small park. For several minutes, neither of us spoke. Then he said something I never thought I would hear. I was wrong. 3 simple words. But they carried 15 years of history. He admitted he had favored Ryan. Admitted throwing me out was cruel. Admitted he should have been proud of me. Not angry. I wish I could tell you everything healed instantly. It didn't. Pain doesn't disappear because someone apologizes. But hearing those words mattered. Because for the first time, he wasn't making excuses. He was accepting responsibility. And that changed something inside me. I spent days thinking about what to do. Friends told me to walk away. Some said my parents deserved exactly what happened. Maybe they did. But I kept asking myself one question. If I turned them away, would I regret it? Eventually, I decided to help. Not because they deserved it. Because I deserved peace. I helped them rent a small apartment. Connected them with financial advisors. Helped them rebuild their lives. But I also established boundaries. The past wouldn't be ignored. Trust would need to be earned. Slowly, things began to improve. Not perfectly. Not quickly. But gradually. For the first time, we started acting like a family. Today, my relationship with my parents is complicated. Some wounds never completely heal. Some memories never disappear. But we're trying. Ryan rarely speaks to them anymore. The son they sacrificed everything for vanished when things became difficult. Meanwhile, the daughter they threw away became the person who helped them survive. Life has a strange sense of justice. If this story taught me anything, it's this. Your starting point doesn't determine where you'll end up. At 18, I had $20 and nowhere to go. At 33, I owned the house where my parents stood asking for help. Success wasn't revenge. Success was freedom. Freedom from bitterness. Freedom from anger. Freedom to choose the kind of person I wanted to become. And when my parents showed up at my door 15 years later, I realized something important. The greatest victory isn't proving people wrong. It's refusing to let their mistakes define who you become. And, in the end, that's exactly what I did.